Hi, I'm JP.
And I'm Angie.
And welcome to Liberty Online.
This week, we will be diving into the first part of Phil's brand new series called Godspeed, taken from Liberty Church's brand new speed services that launched this Sunday.
But before we do that, we would just like to say congrats to Pastors Phil and Steph, who have just had their fourth child, a beautiful baby girl. And despite that, we can hear from Phil right now.
So let's jump straight into the message and this series called Godspeed.
Hello to everyone who has arrived at school, and I've got to wave hello to everyone. So everyone say hello. No, you're not allowed to shout either, so you're not allowed to do that. Everyone wave hello to the camera that can't see you. For the people at home, completely pointless thing to do. For those watching online at home who couldn't make it today, who are isolating or just in a different part of the country. And so I think we should give Steph a little clap for baby number 4. Well done, no shouting, you can't cheer. Just all with the hands. Baby number 4, Lottie. Come and say hello later, but you can't get any closer. So that's probably good for a new mum, isn't it? Because they hate giving babies away to other people. So this COVID situation is pretty good for that. But yeah, so like Matt said, all the kids in the room, don't worry if they're noisy. It really doesn't matter to me. I don't care. And like I said, I won't even notice. So this series is called Godspeed. And we're going to do 4 weeks with this 4-week speed service. And so really we need to think about there's such an old word. Does anyone use that in their everyday life? Godspeed, some people still do. But it's a very old word from the 15th century. So what is Godspeed? What is it? What is Godspeed? It's got nothing to do with speed, so it doesn't really relate to the service at all. Nothing to do with speed. It's an expression of good wishes to a person starting a journey. So you've probably seen it in some old movies, Godspeed, when they're heading out on their horse to go to war or something. And they'll wish them Godspeed. It's good wishes to a person starting on a journey. Another way of saying it, I suppose, is this. It's may God prosper you on your journey. May God prosper you on your journey. And it's similar to probably our greeting now of saying goodbye. So most of us know perhaps that the word goodbye is sort of a contraction of God be with you. It's like good to be with you, God bye, goodbye. That's how we get that word. And so it's a similar way of saying goodbye, but it means may God prosper you on your journey. And I think if we're honest, we'd all, I guess, wish this for our people in our life. We say just goodbye or see you later, or some of you Godspeed still. What century are you in? But we still wish that to people, and we really mean it. We hope God prospers you on your journey, and we probably want it for our life as well. And the original meaning of prospering you on a journey. We wish it on other people, we want it for ourselves. We all want Godspeed. That's what we want. We want God's speed. So with our speed services and COVID, it got me thinking about speed in our lives and the concept of speed. And some of you like speed. Who likes going fast in things like on cars or, a bit of a thrill seeker? Of them people who like going, who's got a ticket? Who's got points on their license? The same people. You're on camera. Speeding ticket. It got me thinking about speed and speed in our lives and how speed affects our lives. And some over COVID, some people have found COVID situation, the whole thing really difficult. And the speed of life has changed. And some have found it easier in some regard as well, even though it's a mess for lots of people and across the nations of the world. But personally, some people have found it really helpful. And the speed of life has slowed down. And so for some, we do life at 100 miles an hour, but COVID has forced us to slow down. Some people have been in lockdown for a long time. Some people have been furloughed. Some people have been forced to slow down. Other people have been forced to speed up. If you're in an industry where work goes up, or like me, the first few months with the food bank, the response to that was just crazy working 100-hour weeks. For some of you, it's sped up. The speed of life sped up. Steph at home having 3 kids at home whilst pregnant, not allowed in school, doing schoolwork as well, trying to juggle life. It was a bit crazy. It sped up. And so whether you found it slower or you found it faster, some people found the new speed, whichever that was, really hard to adapt to. So if things slowed down and you didn't like that and you found that very difficult, if they sped up, you're not used to it and you found it very difficult. But others have found, my daughter, shush up. Hey, what good idea was it putting headphones on her? She's just going to shout. But some others have found the change in speed great. And they've found a new pace of life that match their natural pace. So for some of you, COVID has forced you to slow down, being locked in your house, taking time out, maybe being furloughed, and it's forced you to slow down and look at your life in a different way. And you've realized this pace of life is better for me, for my family, for work-life balance, for all sorts of things. And that new, slower pace you've found better. For others, maybe you weren't doing a lot before and it's kicked you up the bum to make you go a little bit quicker in life. And you found that better too. And you found this new pace of life that matches your natural pace. And what I've discovered is, after talking to lots of people about this, is that I think this is true, that we all have a different pace. I mean, just naturally, a different sort of rhythm to our life. We all have a different pace, a natural rhythm to our being. And so maybe you're a fast ticker. And so if you're a fast ticker in here, you might not even realize you're a fast ticker. But you're always in a rush. Everything's go, go, go. Me and Steph, we're both fast tickers. If something's going to be done, let's do it as quick as possible. We're always in a rush. Think fast, do fast. That's what we're like. Then you've got your plodders. Dum-dee-dum-dee-dum-dee-dum-dee-dum. What are you laughing at? You're a plodder. Dum-dee. We've got some plodders in the room. We've got some fast-paced people in the room. And so even in my family, even with the same genes, we've got different. I was talking to my daughter Ava about this. My son Joel, he's over there. He's fast-paced. Anyone who's seen Joel? Actually, you might not have seen him. He's gone. He's that fast. He's like dashed out of The Incredibles. That's what he's like. He's fast-paced. He tells you a story. It's at 100 miles an hour. And I'm like, I haven't got a word of that. See, just 100 miles. Did anyone get that? That is not true, is what he said. Yeah, 10,000 miles an hour. But if you tell him a story as well, you better make it quick. You better be able to condense that story down into about 4 seconds. If not, he's gone somewhere else in his mind. All right? I don't know where he gets it from. Yeah, that's right. And so, whereas my Ava on the front row here, 4 years old, you know, you're a slower pace, aren't you? When you tell a story, she was telling me the other day about Daddy. Did you know that the other day when Mummy said, and I'm a fast ticker, I'm like, get on with it, girl. But it takes a long time to say it, don't you? But it's great because the detail in the story is amazing. She'll remember lots of things. She'll bring colour to a story that we'd miss. And so it's fantastic. We've got different paces of life, different speeds of person. We all have a different pace, don't we, Jack? Jack, who helps run the band. I have to get a translator in. I'm a fast ticker. But this guy talks so far, every other word I get, I have to rewind that. And he's younger than me, so some of the words I don't even understand what he's saying. And so he ticks so fast that I can't keep up. But that's his natural rhythm of life. And then you've got Glenn, who's over here. Even the wave is slow. Look at that slow wave. Hello. Just a natural, slower rhythm of life. And neither's better or worse. No, because people who are fast think, it's because we're faster, our brains work quicker. No, it's not. It's just you miss so much stuff. It's just we make more mistakes. We say things we shouldn't. And so it's not good or bad. It's just we're different. We have a different pace of life. Even with labours, Sally, 60 plus hours to have a baby. Come on. My wife 10 hours, and that's all 4 children combined. She's like, I've got stuff to do. Honestly, even this time, we're in the hospital, and she's going, when can I go home? When can I go home? And they're like, in a few, come on, sort it out. Go and get the specialist. Come and sign us off. She's got places to be. So we all tick at a different pace because we all have a natural pace, our natural speed of life. And because that's true, and I think it is true, because we all have our natural pace, our natural rhythm, sometimes we often want things to go at our pace. We feel most comfortable when life is at our pace, when a situation's at our pace, when our workplace is, when our marriage is, when church is, when the environment is. We want it to be at that pace naturally, and we might not even think that or articulate that, but that is how we operate, I believe. But sometimes, maybe more often than not actually, sometimes our pace is wrong for the race. The way you run, the way you move through your environment differs on the circumstance. Who's the people who arrive late at an airport? Let's just, hands up. Come on, be honest. None of you are the runners through the airports. You're all that well organized. You liars. Some of you are pacey through the airport. I dawdle through the airport because I plan so well now. I've got a lot of time. I dawdle through the airport. But we do, if you're in a rush for an airport, for an appointment, whatever it is, we move in a certain way, where in a funeral procession, there's a different pace for the circumstance. When me and Steph got married, she didn't run up the aisle, even though she was very excited to come and marry me. In fact, now I think about it, you were going quite slow. 60 years with this. No, she wasn't. She ran up there, obviously. But different circumstances need different paces. Mo Farah and Usain Bolt are, amazing at what they do. No one would say one's better than the other. It's just they have a different pace for a different race. And like I said, different races need different paces. Different races need different paces. They do. Just in the natural, with a 100-meter sprint or you're doing a marathon, you need a different pace for each race. You need a different pace of life, a different rhythm for every circumstance. And we need to run at the right pace for the right season that we're in. And there are hundreds of examples in the Bible that could exemplify this principle. There's loads of them. One person that stood out to me was a person with different paces for different races all the time, and it was just thrust upon him, was this dude called Moses. And so most of you would have heard of Moses, hopefully. Most of the kids in the room would have probably heard of Moses as well. But I want to talk about this dude, how he had to change gear a lot. The pace of his life seemed to change just like that. Moses was born to a Levite woman. Their whole culture was enslaved to Egypt for 400 plus years. And to save him, his mum put him in a basket and threw him down the Nile, which, was probably a great start to life. But if you think about the way he grew up, because he grew up in the palace, Moses grew up with a life essentially of leisure compared to the other people in his culture. He was a prince, if you like, in Egypt. He had some sort of royal ties at least, and would have had more of a, this is the way I like to describe it, like a whatever pace. We're important. We're in the team of people who've got the power. We can go at the pace that we desire. Whatever, whenever, it's easy. No one's telling us what to do. We go at this whatever pace, however we want. And then one day, poor old Moses, I say poor Moses, he witnessed an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave, one of his own people. An Egyptian was beating this dude, and Moses lost it. And the Bible says that he killed this Egyptian. And he panicked because somebody mentioned something the next day, and he panicked and he thought, oh, everybody knows. And then Pharaoh found out and wanted to kill him. And suddenly, Moses he went from this life of leisure sort of pace to suddenly a pace of 100 miles an hour, now on the run, literally on the run. It says in the Bible that he fled from Pharaoh. That isn't just, I'll just leave town. That was fleeing from Pharaoh, a pace of life in that short space of time where it was like, I had to flee from Pharaoh. And once away, the pace of life changed again. He settled in a place called Midian. He married a girl and settled down and helped run his father-in-law's small sheep business. It was hard. Imagine, it's just like we think, a shepherd, he just sits around playing his guitar, looking at the sheep. But that sort of work would have been hard, but it would have been stable. It would have been chill. It wouldn't have been like the pressures in the palace. It wouldn't have been like being run after by Pharaoh, worried about your life. It would have just been a hard, stable pace of life. Suddenly one day the gears shifted again and forced a change pace when just God appeared to him and was like, right, dude, I want you to go back to a new Pharaoh because the old one's died. I want you to go back to this dude and say, let my people go. So he had to go back and say, all these millions of people that are enslaved, I'm going to ask you to let them all go. This is a dangerous situation. Talk about a gear change. This is like going from 6th gear down to 2nd on the highway. Talk about a shift in pace. Moving from a cushy little job to risking your life and being uncomfortable. And maybe you've been in church for a while and you know the story quite well of Moses. You know the story inside out. But if not, if this is all new to you, he went back to Pharaoh. But after arguing with God about it, he was like, I ain't doing it. I can't do it. I can't speak. I'm rubbish. I'm not good enough. I'm not doing it. But eventually, after a bit of dialogue, he obeyed anyway. He'd done what he was told to do. And he went to Pharaoh. Loads of horrible things happened. And eventually, even the Egyptians wanted the Israelites to leave. So there's so much horrible stuff that went on. You can read that in your own time because we've only got a few minutes. But so much stuff happened that even the Egyptians wanted the Israelites to leave. In Exodus 12:33, I'll just jump there quickly, it says this: the Egyptians urged the people, the Israelites, to hurry and leave the country. They were like, you've been enslaved here in a static position doing hard work. Hurry up and leave. Go now. Take all your stuff. For otherwise, they said, we will all die. They were worried that God was going to wipe them all out. So they were saying, you just go. Get out of here. So suddenly Moses was now in charge of leading 1 million plus people out of captivity. Imagine that job. One day you're leading a few sheep around, and then all of a sudden next day you're leading 1 million plus people across a nation. Out of captivity, not just for holiday, but out of captivity. And out of one country into an unknown place that he didn't know. Talk about a different speed of life. And when they'd set out on the journey, they probably went at quite a pace. He's a leader. He's like, come on, we've got to get there. Know where I'm going. Been here before. And he had a bit of a stomp on, I would imagine. But on the way out, Pharaoh changed his mind. And he was like, you know what, I'm not going to let them go. And Pharaoh changed his mind and suddenly sent warriors after the Israelites. Can you imagine the change of pace then? Has anyone been chased in the street or chased by a dog? Or suddenly you get a lot of energy and you start running. These guys would have suddenly been like, people are coming for us. And the pace of life changed in that moment. I want you to think about this as well. God commanded Moses to do something to part the seas. The seas parted and this 1 million plus people were going through. And we all think about them running through, sprinting through. Quick, get away from like some sort of comical, get away from the Egyptians. But imagine that floor. Imagine the wet, stodgy, muddy floor and 1 million people going through it. You'd have been working as hard as you can and yet feel like you're going nowhere. Many of us will probably feel like that sometimes. Is that we feel like we're going 100 miles an hour. We're working as hard as we can, but we're not going very far. All of a sudden, in a heartbeat, Moses and his people went from a steady pace to, we've got to get moving. They feared for their life. And before they even got to the sea, I'll skip back a bit, Exodus 14:13. When they arrived at the sea, it says that, and Moses said to the people, do not be afraid. Check this. Stand still. What? We're being hunted down, we're being chased, and you're telling me just chill. Stand still. God's going to show up. He's got something planned. He's told us to come this far. It's cool. And Moses said to the people, stand still. Change your pace. We're on this race, this little section here. We don't know how long it was for, but stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will accomplish for you today. You see, God gave commands over and over again to these people. And Moses was ready for the promised land. I think every one of them was ready for Godspeed. They were ready. They've been in captivity for 400 years. All of a sudden, they're like, I'm ready for God to prosper us on our journey. Not just the journey to the promised land, but the whole journey of their lives. God's favor in their journey. Moses was ready for the promised land. He was ready. I'm there. I want it. I want Godspeed. But then God instructed him to do something. And I'm now condensing lots of stories into one 15-minute message. But God instructed him to talk to a stone to get water to come out of it. And what's weird is Moses had done this before, but God had told him to crack it with his stick and water would come out. And Moses actually, it says, disobeyed God. And he cracked the stone. Maybe he was wound up from the people moaning at him, I don't know. But he didn't do what God told him to do. He whacked the stone instead of talking to it, and so he was disobedient. And in short, essentially, he refused to follow God's instruction. He was not obedient. He didn't go at the pace that God told him to. He didn't do the thing that God told him to do in that moment. He didn't go at God's pace. Another way of thinking about it, he wasn't in step with God. And the result was that he never reached the promised land. Some people, maybe you're new to church, maybe you've heard of Moses and the promised land. He never got there. He just died somewhere in the wilderness. He never reached the promised land. It took Joshua and the next generation to lead them people. And God was with Moses in so many regards. And he asked him to go at different paces for different races at different times. God was like sometimes, hurry up. to Moses. This is what he was like. Hurry up, pick up the pace, go, go, go. Sometimes he was like, okay, you've got a little season of life, you can chill just for a bit. Sometimes he'd give him rules to operate within this general rule, this framework. And other times he'd say, do this very, very specific thing. And what I've gleaned from the life of Moses, from hours of studying these scriptures, is if we want God's speed, and what is that? Remember, God's speed is God prospering us on our journey. If you want God's speed, we've got to go at God's speed. Or another way of saying it is, if you want to receive God's speed, we've got to go at God's speed. Receive God's speed by going at God's speed. If you want God's speed in your life, you want him to prosper you on your journey of life, you've got to move at his pace when he says it. And Paul wrote it to the Galatian church, and I love this phrase. He put it in just this amazing way that helps me understand it. Galatians 5:25, and he said this, since we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit. That rhythm of life, that rhythm of do, of go, of stay, of wait, of sprint, of jog. Since we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit. And if you believe in Jesus and who he is, and you've invited him in, you know, his spirit dwells in you. And we can follow his lead. We can go at his speed, his rhythm. And we've got to keep in step with that. And so over the next coming weeks, we're going to look at the specifics of that. Of when to move fast, when to move slow, when to go, when to wait, or even when God says, you know what, stop. And we need to quickly learn to not listen to our emotion. Because I think that's our pace of life is driven so often by our emotion. When we should go, when we should stay, when we should go faster, slow down, when we should stop altogether. And we need to stop listening to our emotion. And I've even put this, and this is strong coming from me, or even to our own reason. But if we want God's speed, we've got to go at God's speed. Not mine, not yours, not your natural rhythm of life. Not a pace driven by desire or by selfish ambition or even fear or even hurt or even excitement about something, but by him. So if we want God's speed, we need to go at God's speed. And we're going to open this up over the next few weeks on this series of God's speed. Amen. Amen.
So that was part 1 of the Godspeed services.
And if you'd like to catch part 2, then why not be at the Carnegie Rooms this Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Our band will be there too, so why not come along and check them out.
If you want more details about Liberty Church, then go to libertycentre.org.uk.
We will be back here next week, same time, so catch you then. Bye.